Welcome to the Church Universal series, where we seek to tell the often untold story of the many groups, outreaches, and apostolates in the Catholic Church, which are making a positive difference in the world through their charitable works and prayerful lives. Did you know that very soon 50% of the Catholics in the United States will be Hispanic? Yet in this country, Hispanics often face very powerful influences that rob them of their faith. Hello, I'm Father Joseph Mary, and today I'm speaking with a member of a group that is meeting this challenge. My guest today again is a member of CALL, the Catholic Association of Latino Leaders. Rosalia Nolan is a member of its National Board of Directors. Welcome, Rosalia.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you again. And for those viewers that missed the first program, just give us a little overview of what CALL is.
Sure. So CALL is the Catholic Association of Latino Leaders, and it's a national nonprofit organization. Its headquarters are in Los Angeles, and then we have a variety of chapters around the country. Mm-hmm. And it was started with a couple of thoughts in mind. One, the growing number of Hispanics that you mentioned, and seeing an opportunity that many were beginning to fall away from the church, but also those that were involved didn't have as much engagement as they could. Yes. And so it was really an invitation to get to know on a personal level the church leaders, and give us an opportunity to then participate in the church activities in a more more direct way. And so the mission of CALL is really to inspire Latino leaders to live and love their faith, and to be able to get involved, and also to share the joy of the gospel in a very simple way. The way it shows up is a smile, respect for one another, compassion, being understanding. So we try to we learn how, and then we learn
so it helps you in your own Catholic formation as well.
Sure, absolutely. It starts at the individual level, right? And so then once we can connect who we are, our relationship to God, then it helps you realize that everyone is in that relationship. So then you begin to understand better the relationships with one another.
So what are some ways that CALL is active now in meeting those needs?
So we are very active with our local bishops. So in every chapter, we will be working with the bishop of that diocese on what are service projects of interest to them. But also, for example, leading up to the World Meeting of Families in 2015, we are going to be dedicated to the formation in our chapter meetings around the family, around marriage, around parenting, so we can be prepared for that. We work a lot in the schools with our youth. The whole idea here is if we can engage with an individual all the way from kindergarten as they mature into their young adulthood, and then their parenting and professional years, then we have a real opportunity to impact these leaders, because as leaders we have a responsibility that we need to serve our community. And by virtue of our leadership, we influence our environment, and no differently than a leader in the field of sports or the field of medicine or the field of any kind of industry does. We also have that, and we're fortunate that the church leaders saw that and reached out to us so that we can receive that guidance.
When I visited your website, I noticed that there is a video there of your group meeting with Archbishop Fisichella, who is the president of the Pontifical Council for the Promotion of the New Evangelization. Why was that important to CALL?
Right. So this relationship that is forming right now is very important. One, because the work of CALL is really about the evangelization. And so what we have done is we are able to share with the Pontifical Council how the face of the country is changing with the growing number of Hispanics, and how that's changing the face of the church. And then they're able to share with us some of their initiatives and what they're trying to achieve. So we've had several members from the Pontifical Council attend our conferences, attend some of our meetings, and share with us what they're trying to do. And most recently in Mexico, there was a forum in which they were focused on ways of reaching the Hispanic population. So they asked CALL to participate and provide input on means of formation, how do we reach the youth, how do we use technology in evangelization initiatives. So it's a partnership.
Now, obviously, our Pope is Hispanic,
Yes.
so does he have an interest in what's going on?
Absolutely. We're so fortunate, really, that
Yes.
we had the visionary leaders that we have that saw that we as leaders needed some formation. And Pope Francis tells us to go to the peripheries, and so
Yes.
they have, because we can get lost in that as well. And so all the way to the Pope, he's been encouraging us. In fact, one of the pilgrimages that CALL put together to go to Rome was right after Pope Francis was named the Pope, and they had several interactions with him, and he was very encouraging. So we're very excited. I think for me personally, it made a big impact when through CALL, being able to start getting reconnected with my heritage, and then seeing that we have this Hispanic Pope. I've been very
Seems
excited.
Like all the pieces are together. They're saying now, that now is the time for a movement like this to get involved.
Right. So leaders are going to shape culture, and with this number of Hispanics in our society today, we need to step up as leaders and help influence them in a positive way, because we have the opportunity to make a very, very strong impact and integrate the culture, this Hispanic culture, with the other wonderful cultures that make up this country and our church.
Now, obviously, Mother Angelica was interested in using the new technologies. You were here recording at the EWTN studios. Is this something that CALL is interested too, in using the new media as a way to evangelize the Hispanic population?
Absolutely, and we're thankful to be here. We're thankful for the work of EWTN. But certainly the pace at which technology is changing today is phenomenal. It's as revolutionary really as the invention of the printing press or the introduction of the automobile. And so CALL definitely wants to take advantage of that in all ways possible. And so as we think about reaching the Hispanic population, we need to think of a variety of ways to reach them. And one of them is radio, and at the forefront of that is our Phoenix chapter with En Familia Radio, and where they're reaching over 1 million Hispanics. And what's been beautiful around that is not only are these Hispanics very interested in the message that they're hearing, but they're also wanting to fund it financially. So it's been a beautiful collaboration there. We are on social media, so you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then we have other parts of the constituency that wants to be reached either by newsletter or by podcast, by video. So we want to introduce all the forms of technology and media to try to reach them.
Let's take a look now at a video that's on your website actually about how you want to utilize the media. Great. So let's take a look at that now.
Okay.
Today, there are no more dark corners in the world. No place is beyond reach and unaffected by the media and digital culture. Over 6 billion hours of video are watched each month on YouTube. That's almost an hour for every person on Earth. There are over 500 million tweets sent out each day, resulting in billions of impressions. Facebook has more active users than the Catholic Church. While the forum may have changed, the questions tend to remain the same. Is there a God? What does it mean to be Catholic? Am I important? The truth is that now, more than ever, the Catholic Church has an opportunity for its message to be heard by an audience bigger than ever before. This is a generation that has been trained to find answers at the end of a search bar, that anything longer than 5 minutes probably isn't worth watching. And as the Church faces the sometimes terrifying world of modern media, we're faced with an age-old choice. Do we push it aside or embrace it? It's time to take control of the narrative. Not only to reach the young Catholics in the U.S., 45% of whom are Hispanic, but also to share the gospel with those who have never heard it before. to the ones who spend their Sundays on YouTube rather than at Mass, to those who have been taught to look to Google for answers rather than God. Call is preparing Latino leaders to present the positions of the Catholic Church in these arenas so the voice of the formed laity can be heard. But in order for these voices to be heard, we need to step into that arena, and we need to be ready when we do. Our first action is to standardize and unify Call's mission throughout the nation, giving all chapters access to the same resources, aligning Call members to deliver a stronger message. Speeches and training will be captured in our centralized online video vault, providing the tools necessary for the ever-growing evangelization. For example, video allows our members in Los Angeles and Phoenix to implement the strategies outlined in a presentation given in Miami about the successes learned from an organization in Houston. Video can move masses for legislative change, unify and educate Call leaders, and can inspire a new wave of people to vocations. But it can only do this with your support. Now is the time for action. By 2015, more than 50% of U.S. Catholics will be Hispanic, putting Call in a major position of influence. Be a part of something bigger. Help the Catholic Church spread its message to every corner of the world. We are called to the new evangelization.
You know, Rosalia, here in the Birmingham Diocese, in our One Voice, which is our Catholic newspaper, when we have the First Communion or confirmation classes, it's largely Hispanic. Obviously, that is the future of the church, as this video pointed out. What are ways that Call is meeting that need to form our young people?
We're very interested in our youth and the families, right? So we've talked a lot about the family. One of the programs that we have that we support across several states is Family Life Works. And this is a program where we go into the schools, into the classrooms, and are teaching character building skills, and also the values and the virtues that we want to instill to promote healthy family life. And so not only are we working with the children, but we're working with their parents as well.
Yes.
And that's been very effective.
Because a lot of parents don't know how to parent, right? They don't know how to be a family.
Right. I mean, it's again, there the Holy Family can be a great example, but just in the practical ups and downs of the day, day-to-day life, at school, at work, etc. I think it helps them have a more productive environment at home. And the other thing that we're doing is we're reaching young adults through supporting the young seminarians as they're going to school. We're engaging young university students. Most recently in one of our conferences we had university students volunteer from a Catholic university, and it was a wonderful experience being with them. The other very exciting opportunity that we have recently embarked on is one with Carlos Slim. Now, Carlos Slim, a very successful businessman in Mexico, and we're fortunate that to have an opportunity to collaborate with his foundation. And what he has in mind is that he really wants to help people come out of poverty all over the world. And but he wants to be able to teach people how to fish. So the idea that we have is that through the funding that he has provided, we're going to be able to work through two organizations, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals and the Catholic Legal Immigration Network. And we'll have access to youth that need to initiate their U.S. citizenship process. And it's often that initiation fee that has been a hindrance for them starting their process. So what's going to be available are loans to these individuals, and they're going to be guaranteed by the funds by the Carlos Slim Foundation. So we will see the repayment of those loans, and as those are repaid, then we'll be able to provide those on an ongoing basis to our youth. Now, in keeping with this concept of mentoring, then, we're going to invite the youth in to participate in our programs and in our service projects, attend our chapter meetings, so they can be side by side with the Latino leaders as we're learning how to practice this, and we're learning how to integrate our professional lives with our spiritual lives.
Now I would guess among the call members, there would be a number of them that came out of very difficult circumstances. They made their way here, and now they've been successful businessmen and women. And so I'm sure they have a lot that they can share with others. What would be some of those difficult circumstances people have come from?
I think that a Hispanic immigrant has probably faced similar challenges to any immigrant. Someone who's moving from one country to another, there's a transition that can be challenging. Many, though, are coming from countries where there's significant oppression or corruption, violence, and so really they're moving away from that so that they can get to an environment that's more productive for their families. They're very opportunistic people, and they're going to take a lot of risk. In fact, sometimes separated from their families for a time. But yeah, so they are. They are going to be looking for these opportunities to be able to advance their
I like
family
what
life.
Archbishop Gomez said, that this is really an exciting time for the Hispanic community, just to be who you are. What does he mean when he says that?
Right. So what I think he means by that is honor who you are. Right. So if we were born with this heritage, we have something to contribute through this, and I think for Hispanics, it's the love of family, it's the unity of family, and at the core of the culture is this faith. You know, that is this incredible devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe as
so
our
you see
Blessed
like
Mother.
a blending of the culture with the faith in the Hispanic community, right?
Yes, and that's very strong. And you know, to take the initiatives, we were talking just a moment ago, to come to another country, it takes faith to do that. And one of the key concerns, if you will, or interests is that as Hispanics come to this country, with all the opportunity that's here, so our typical member will come because they're going to advance their studies, or they have a career opportunity, or a business opportunity has been presented, or is available to capitalize on. And that's wonderful. So you come to this great country, we have all these opportunities, all the promises that this country offers, and what we don't want them to lose are those values that are so important and so significant. And really today, with the challenges that we have in our culture, that can be so impactful. And so we want to see them not lose that through their time here.
Now you're a partner in a business consulting firm. What are some of the values that you have learned? Has it helped you to be more principled maybe in the decisions that you make, that you have another reference point that maybe you didn't have before?
Sure. I think it's just helping me understand that at the end of the day, whether we have a successful transaction or a successful business opportunity, let's make sure that we didn't compromise the human dignity, that we don't do something or accelerate the impact of something that's destructive to people. And so it's helped me be more thoughtful. It's also helped me slow my response time down, not be so reactive, be patient, and then also interact with my colleagues at a more personal level when the opportunity presents itself, so that we're not just at work just to get a job done, but we're living our lives while we're at work. So how to share in our lives with one another.
Can you think of any practical examples in how you've lived this out, or how it's affected you, and since you've been a member of CALL and your role as a partner in this business consulting firm, that maybe you've done something now differently than you would have done it maybe some years ago?
Sure. I think maybe pausing a little more before I just immediately respond to an email message, but also when a client is having a dilemma, or I'm working through a situation in my own office, that I stop to really think about what might be going on with that individual, what might be behind the situation, and influence the the input in a way that can make a positive difference. So just being much more thoughtful, I think. I think when it comes easier with more practice.
Right.
But I think initially it's like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be a witness to this? Well, it's just by being patient, kind, and
that raising your voice is not always something that's
right.
going to
Now, I've
achieve.
probably done that before in my past. That hasn't worked so well, so I know not to do that so much anymore.
That if you can bring an element of charity and patience and concern for the person, I think if a person knows that you would genuinely care for them, they could be corrected if they need that correction, but they can receive it. You know,
sure. And I
easily.
can receive correction from them as well, right? That I'm open to that feedback as well.
Right. Now, for other business leaders that may be interested in call, why would you encourage them? What would be the advantage for them becoming members of call?
It's really an opportunity to enrich their personal lives. And I know that sounds very individual at the surface, but it's with that invitation and that focus that you begin to understand what your relationship with God is, and then how that relationship then comes into relationship with others. And I think as leaders, when we're influencing a lot of people and we're dealing with a lot of people, we're interacting in relationship, it's important to have that foundation. So anyone who's listening today, I would invite them that if they'd like to experience some of what's been shown or highlighted today, shown on the videos, to get in contact with us, or if you know of somebody, if there's someone listening that you think could benefit from this, we'd welcome you to look into membership with Call.
And the two archbishops, Archbishop Gomez and Archbishop Chaput, and then you also Bishop Olmsted are all on your board.
Right.
They obviously see this as something important. They're men who are involved in a lot of different things, and yet for them, they see this as something highly important at this time in history.
Right, isn't it fascinating? We're so fortunate that they saw, they're visionaries, so they saw the opportunity, they saw the value of the impact that could be made by connecting with leaders on an individual basis, and it's been a real gift that they've given us. And I'm thankful that they have. Pope Francis tells us to go to the peripheries, and just because we're leaders and we have lots of responsibility doesn't mean we need that special touch and a reminder of our spiritual grounding.
And really here in the United States, I think we're at a much better situation, than in Europe, for example, because the predominance of our immigrants have this Catholic heritage, the blending of the faith and the culture there, the strong families, and that's what they're bringing here to the United States. So if that can be directed, what a powerful effect that can have on the whole future of our country,
That's
right?
Think of the blending of those cultures now in this country with all those good qualities of all those individuals that are making that transition. We should be taking advantage of it, and the U.S. being such an incredible force in the world, it too has a leadership responsibility to be able to knowledge share with other countries and to make this an environment that can be productive for all those cultures.
So any final words or thoughts on why people might want to be a member of Call or find out more about Call and become a member?
Well, sure. We certainly invite you to visit our website. Our website is www.call-usa.org, and you'll be able to find out information about how to become a member there. You can also have an opportunity to see our news and events highlighted. You'll see some videos where Call members talk about their experience, and certainly coming up to the World Meeting of Families, we'd really encourage you to take a look at the activities that Call has, and would invite you to participate in those activities.
Archbishop Chaput is also on the board of EWTN. He's on your board. He's the Archbishop of Philadelphia, so we're all going to be involved in that, and we hope that it's really going to have a positive impact on the family life in our country. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
St. Paul writes that God gives a variety of gifts and inspires a variety of services for the common good. What gifts has He given to you? What service has He inspired in you? If you are a Hispanic business leader, perhaps the Catholic Association of Latino Leaders is a way that you can contribute to the future good of this country. May God bless and guide you. See you next time on the Church Universal.